Good afternoon, Chris. How you doing? You good?
I'm good, Joel. How are you?
I'm blessed, my brother. Always, in always. All the better for talking to you. I see your content everywhere nowadays, Chris.
Oh,
Everywhere.
thank you, man. Thank
He's either it's everywhere or it's just reaching me all the time. I don't know. Either way, you're doing a good job, my
you.
brother. I
Now,
know
is
it's
that my
jokes.
content or is that the podcast as well? So, because I do.
Everything
Oh,
you're doing.
wicked.
You, the podcast. I just seem to be in tune to your content. It's all coming to me. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
wicked.
Like I said to you just before we got on camera.
Yeah.
Even LinkedIn, and I'm not on LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
I
So
see
it's
you
meant to
everywhere,
be then.
man.
It's
But
meant to
it's
be.
funny, finding you on LinkedIn was the reason why I reached out actually, because it's all
Wicked.
jokes and that, but it's business, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to know, stand-up comedy is your lane, but
hmm
it's not solely your lane no more. You're kind of branched out
Yeah.
into other stuff, and it seems
Yeah.
to be working. Tell me about it, Chris.
So, so I got into stand-up comedy about 6 years ago. Um, I'm still a personal trainer, but so the way I started personal training, because I used to be really overweight when I was in my teens, and I hadn't achieved anything before um achieving my weight loss. Because you go to school. I was a bit of a bad breed in school. Not bad breed, just mischievous. So I didn't
Mm.
really achieve anything, and I felt like and this is why I try to push now to parents to get their children to achieve something at school. So even if it's not academically, like physically, like karate, just showing levels of things you can achieve at different heights. So when you start from white belt, you can get to black belt by this achievement. So there's a link to this. So when I started to lose weight, it was the first time I achieved anything. And I thought to myself, if I can apply this formula to everything else, then I can make something more of my life. So I I ended up doing a quick access course in college to get to university in sports, and then I ended up doing a sports science degree. So I achieved that, left uni, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do with the degree, but I know that a degree apparently is meant to mean better things or being at the front of the line in an interview or something like that. Anyway, long story short, I fell into personal training, which I've done really well with, and I still do early in the mornings and even the afternoons. But during that time, I started to pick up other things like Cuban salsa, advanced Cuban salsa, advanced kizomba. That's a African Portuguese style of dancing. I started playing music instruments, and I applied the same formula, like I said, from when I lost weight to all these other things, and I became good at that. So then I started realizing, you know what? I love performing arts. This is my field, is performing arts, to do the dancing, the music. So let me try stand-up comedy. But before stand-up comedy, I became a content video creator. I just started making content. And one day I said I want to do characters because there was a sort of trend with a lot of people at one time, mainly black boys and women, mainly black people doing characters. Michael Dapper did his character, Munya Chawa had a character. There was loads of characters, so I thought I want to drop a character, and his name was Branches. Um, and Branches went viral, like started going viral. Like artists started following me. I was like, whoa, this is good. But before that, sorry, so I'm getting my timeline mixed up. I started stand-up comedy, and I was about a year in with stand-up comedy. And during that time, I always wanted to do content creating as well. So I started doing content creating with stand-up as well. So my character helped me go viral. And what that did was sort of push my comedy. Like people wanted to come and see me. But that just gives you more pressure now because I'm still fresh in the game. But to be fair, I haven't had many trip ups in stand up comedy. I think maybe it was more of a natural calling for me. So I do that, and I've done quite a few tours with, White Yardie, Real Deal Comedy Jam. I'm doing Kane Brown's comedy tour now as well. and I've just been content creating, and my content's gone viral quite a lot of times during the time. And then I started working with my uncle Percy and started doing a lot of content with him, and that started going viral as well. So I had a podcast as well when I was doing tour with Yardi. When I was doing this comedy tour, we thought, let's do a podcast called Chalk and Cheese. Chalk and Cheese was good, but it was very hectic. There was like 5 men, too much egos, everyone is trying to jump to get on the mic in the room. But I'm thankful for it because it gave me a sort of understanding of how you're meant to run good podcasts. So not talking over each other, allowing the person to speak, let him run. Whereas in that podcast, everyone wanted to try and grab. And you just got to listen to your own stuff to start realizing, okay, what are the people listening to? And when you realize that people are listening to a lot of messy noise, when you have a podcast, realize, all right, let that person get off their thing, let that person, and then you can talk. So I think that was a build up. It was like a practice for me and Kane, because Kane was on the other podcast. So because I've worked with Kane on that podcast, and I've worked with my uncle Percy in general, just doing content in our car. We used to do live shows, and people used to love it. We used to have like over 1,000 people tune in, and I thought, let's make all of us three do a podcast together. And that was last year, a year exactly. I think it's this week, or last week was a year exactly. And we're almost on 100,000 followers on Instagram. We've got 60,000 followers on YouTube. And we've got loads of thousands of followers on our Patreon, which is a sort of sign up where they pay to watch the full show. So you can watch half the show on YouTube, the full show on Patreon if you pay for it. So we've got loads of Patreon subscribers as well. We've had 2 sold out shows as well with our podcast. So basically, I've just kind of worked my way within the entertainment industry from content creating, which I'm still doing, and attracting brands. That's mainly what I'm doing the content for now, is to attract brands so I can get brand deals, get paid better money for content creating. Because sometimes you create content and you're like, where's this going? But now I'm doing it for a reason, and it's to basically get more brand deals for the content side of it. And then the podcast side is also to increase, it's basically a business now. So whereas the first podcast I used to look at as just fun, now you have to look at how you can make it a business. And by doing that, you have to clean up your podcast, like I said, not talking over each other, just making it interesting. Me, Kane, and my uncle Percy, we're all 3 different characters, but we all gel. So this is why people love it. They say it's like boys talk in a locker room. People like, the women like hearing what men have to talk about, and the men also relate to it because they feel like it's them when they hang out or when they're in school talking to each other. So that's the mix there. So that's my life at the moment. Just, personal training, content creating, and my podcast. And the content creating is to attract more brands and get brand work. So and the stand-up comedy. And I've got a show this Saturday. So that's everything that I'm doing right now.
Did you ever think you'd find yourself where you find yourself?
Do you know what? I've always wanted to do something to do with acting. I did a theatre show as well this year, just gone. It's called Table for One, by the Wright brothers, and I was one of the main characters. And I'm not tooting my own horn, but I even had people that did worked on the show Supercell that came to see me, and they were like, "Bro, I didn't know you could act like that. I've seen you, but I didn't know." So I think acting has always been my natural calling. So like when I do theatre, it almost feels like second nature, even though it was my first theatre show. And also stand-up comedy, it helps you with all aspects of entertainment. I think stand-up comedy for me is the pinnacle, because once you know how to do that, you're not scared of doing anything else. So it helps you. It also helps you to act because you have to do facial expressions. You have to learn where your stage placement is, your body language. Do you know what I mean? So I think that stand up, but my natural calling, sorry, was always to do, was always acting. I knew I wanted to get into entertainment somehow, and I never could see myself doing stand-up comedy. It was mainly like acting, so that's why I liked video content creating. And then it was one day that I went to, I carried my mom to a comedy show because it was her birthday, the family did, and it was a girl that was doing it, and she didn't do well. And I thought I could do better than that, and that's how it started. Because I looked at a girl and I thought I could do better than her, and I did. so I was right. So
Have you always been funny?
funny is subjective. Yeah. So funny is what someone will find funny, another person won't. But I do know, I do have I would say, a slight inkling of what entertainment is. So I've always liked to see a smile on people's face from when I was a kid. I used to be the attention seeking one in the room just to make people laugh. So that was always me. So that's why I say it's a natural thing. I used to do, like, like them. If I was young, I'll be them big stars on TikTok or something. That's what I'll be, because I used to like doing loads of things. Like, I remember when you had them big cameras and I was all up in the camera. You remember them cameras back in the days, the ones you have to hold in your shoulder? I remember being a kid and being all up in the camera, just wanted attention. So it's kind of always been my thing, you know.
What I mean, I guess you haven't really struggled with monetizing your way through this early part of your career in a performance career, because you had a trade and a profession, I guess.
Yeah.
So talk about I guess getting serious though with how much time you spend on this and getting paid and ensuring that it reflects your value.
That's the thing. I still don't feel that it reflects my value yet. That's the thing, I think the work you put in, you get back at some point. But I know that's what I believe in. I think what you put in is what you get back. But I haven't got that back yet. I've got a lot of good pay in different places. I've done private shows, I've done normal shows. I get paid for my Patreon, my YouTube. TikTok used to pay me, well, because I don't really put much videos on TikTok, but I get paid from there. So different avenues that I get paid from, but I want to hit those big 30K deals, 50K. That's when I feel like, okay, now I'm starting to get paid. But
what do you think is going to take you to that point?
I would say right now, I think what will take me to that point is hardcore content creating. I have to get back, because I'm not going to lie, I spent about a year building the podcast and I've kind of fallen off on doing a lot of content creating. So if you look at my page now, the few lines I've started to create content again. But if you look at my page now, within a year, I've kind of just been posting the podcast on my own page. But now that page has got its own followers now. What I don't think is relevant to me, that page can just post by itself, because it's almost on 100,000 followers. So it runs itself now. Whereas now I've just built it up. But I feel that if I create more content, because people see you more, the more viral you go, the more people say, hey, I know that guy, I want to see him live. One, that will increase your ticket sales. Two, you will attract more brands. And three, let's be honest, people are clout chasers. When your name's flying everywhere, just by making more content, everyone wants to see you. Everyone wants to sort of work with you, so that's it. I think just more work.
Away from all of this, then what's Chris McCluskey on?
What am I on?
How do you chill? Family man,
chill.
raver. Yeah.
I mean, I'm at a space right now where it's quite hard because, well, within this month, I've just been basically looking after my mum, because my mum's just had kidney transplant.
Oh, okay.
And as we know, like in the black community, kidneys tend to go in a, because when you go dialysis center, it's flooded with black people. So our pressure, our blood pressure, whatever, can get high, and it could be the same as a white person, but it will affect us more, or things, our health will affect us in different ways to like a white person or another person from another culture. If we have, us, let's say, I don't know, this is an example. Let's say you got 160 over 100, you know, that for a white person could be normal, but for a black person, that could mean, oh, this could show that something might be wrong here or there, or, you know. So for some strange reason, black people haven't been blessed. Not all of us have been blessed with great kidneys, you know. So, and my mum happened to fall into that category, and she found a kidney donor, but the deceased donor, and she's just had the operation. It's been successful. The only problem is when you first get it, there's a few complications. So like there was still fluid on her chest. You know, she's had chest infection, and now she's in hospital now. For draining, we have to drain out more of the fluid. That's right now. That's what I'm doing. Is basically just looking after my mum and making sure she's all right. When I'm not doing that, do you know what? I think because I do so much entertainment nowadays, I don't do as much as I used to, because I might go out to a party here or there, but when I do shows, there's always after parties. I see it all the time now. I'm always invited to something, you know, so I don't do as much. So what I like to do is just chill out, really, and just binge watch something. Binge watch an anime series, binge watch a true story. I like true stories and documentaries on like people and what happened then. Do you know what I mean? I find them interesting. And what else do I do? I used to box as well. I used to love boxing. When I was younger, I used to do boxing and Muay Thai. So I like to keep up with the boxing as well.
What did you make of the Andy Joshua fight?
I don't know. I think he didn't come in. I don't know. Something was wrong with his defense, because he was constantly getting hit, and he left his hands down too much. And I think once he got that first shot, Anthony Joshua is not a good person at recovery. He doesn't recover quite well. Some people can get hit, stand back up, shake it off, and they'll go on. But I think that first knockdown in the first round, I think all he was doing was trying to recover for the whole of the match. Because a lot of times he was getting hit. It's like, why aren't your hands up? And maybe it's because his head and his body wasn't in line with each other. So I don't know. I guess with heavyweight boxing, it can all end with one punch.
Yeah.
His hands were down too much, and he ended up getting desperate at the end, and that's why he got knocked out, because he knew that he wasn't going to survive. So he just thought, let me just try and do a money shot, but it reversed on him. So
who wins a rematch?
Oh, that's a tough one. The thing is, Joshua, he's not got a chin. So it's all about, if I can hit you on that chin once, which I probably will, I don't know if you'd be able to take it. So, and the thing is, I actually don't even think Dubois is a better boxer than Anthony Joshua. He's maybe a better fighter, because Anthony Joshua somewhere down the line has lost his ability to have a sort of killer instinct, because once you get hit or once you get injured somewhere, you get almost like trauma post. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know whether that's making him scared of wanting to commit, because he knows his chin isn't strong, whereas before he had a little bit more confidence. And also, if you get hit down in the first round so quick, a lot of that could be due to nerves as well. So I don't know. I think I will go with Dubois again. You know, I will go with Dubois again.
Football? You into football?
Used to be, man. We had Andy Cole on as well. You know, we had. Andy Cole.
I was gonna get onto the fact that you had Richard Blackwood, Junior Yashere, Andy
Yeah,
Cole.
yeah. So I used to be a big fan of football. Manchester United, the days when Andy Cole was there. But I don't know, man. I've really just lost the love for it. So I barely watch it anymore. My team has just gone downhill. And I know I'm a fake supporter. Just call me that, but because I'm not there when the times are rough. But it's not to do with that. I think what it was is when Fergie left, I tried to stick around for about 3 seasons, but it just didn't feel the same without that manager being there, man. It just wasn't the same. So I ended up just like fully falling out of love with football. So
No, I get it. I get it. It's just something I hear quite often, to be honest, especially from Man United supporters
yeah, and
of that era. So
yeah, and also what it is for me as well is I used to like a certain style of football. I liked the Man United's attacking style. I used to like the way Arsenal used to attack, and there was a style at Manchester United. They just go, go, go. And now it's just all over the place. So it's not only the fact that the manager left, it's a style of football, especially when I have Van Gaal, the style of football is just dead now. And I can't sit down and waste my time watching a team that's always losing. But on top of that, they're playing the way I don't want them to play. Do you know what I mean? So it's not my thing anymore.
you mentioned you looking after your mum. Are you got brothers and sisters? You part of a big family, or is it?
Yeah, no, I haven't got a massive family. I've only got 2 brothers. I've got an older one, I've got a younger one. I tend to be I've got my mum's personality. I'm just like my mum. And
Right.
2 brothers are like introverts. They're more like their dad. But my dad died 2017. And
Sorry to hear that still.
yeah, well, I didn't really care about him, to be honest. He was a great dad. Unfortunately, we didn't have a bond. So, yeah, so he died 2017. So it's just my mum and my 2 brothers. And my big brother, he's got a son and a daughter. So I've only got one niece, one nephew. So it's not a massive family.
Did they come to your shows, your fam?
So did my family
Yeah,
come?
yeah, yeah, to your shows.
Yeah. So we had a live rated 18 show in Leicester Square. We sold out 2 shows. My mum and my brothers came down to them. I've got a show this Saturday, Wahala. My big brother's coming down. So they do come down. My mum actually, weirdly enough, I don't even know she was really into comedy until, so because Jamaicans say, "Oh, that not funny." You know what I mean? Like they don't really follow like Black English comedy. They follow
Yeah.
more their own people, Jamaican comedy and stuff like that. So my mum's got into it though. She's always watching. She'll message me, say, "Me did watch the podcast," and she would tell me what part was funny in the podcast that she saw. So she's always watches it every week, and I send her a link to watch it. So yeah, she's quite supportive. At the start, I don't know if they're as supportive as when they see you getting a bit more like, you know what I mean? And that's just basically what it is.
Sorry,
Like,
go innit? Sorry, go.
but my mum's
Definitely.
also very popular online with me as well.
Right.
And I do so much content videos. She gets stopped as much as I get stopped because we're in a lot of videos. So when they see my page, they will see my mum. So when they see her walking in Brixton, they'll be like, "Oh, you're on the internet, you're on TikTok, you're Christopher Savage's son." So, and she loves it though. She always tell me, every single person, she'll be like, "Yo, me just get stopped by this guy and come up to his because back then it was the only time you could be seen was on TV. Do you know what I mean? It was a big thing, like with that on TV. So now my mum's getting all of that attention. It's like she got to tell me all the time. Yeah.
How does 2025 top 2024? How many shows you got booked around the Christmas period?
I'm getting quite a few. So I got well, usually shows like comedy shows are usually booked on the weekends. So you can only do so much. So I think right now I'm booked in for like 4, 5 shows for the Christmas period. I'm doing New Year's in Birmingham. And I've got a few booked in December for like London. I've got Backyard Comedy Club as well that I host. That's in Bethnal Green. So yeah, I mean, I get booked for sure, and then I always get booked for little other things. So like the pen game challenge, there's these MCs that are going up against each other, and I'm one of the judges. You see what I mean? So I get booked for little other parts of stuff outside of comedy as well.
Next year, bigger, better.
Bigger and better next year. The thing is, I know the formula, right? Because like I said, from when I was younger, I learned the formula, and it's consistency and vision. So you need to always see what you got to achieve, and you got to just try and keep going. Consistency is bloody hard. Black, black, and being in this entertainment world, black people have to do 2-3 times as hard in this country, because they only have that 1 in 1 out system in England. Like, you got one big black entertainer at the moment. Right now, it's Mo the comedian. Do you know what I mean? After Mo, there's going to be someone else, but they will never allow room for 2 or 3. Might 2 one day, but they always have this one. So you always got to work twice as hard when you're in this industry, man. It's hard work. And sometimes that's why I've come up with so much comedians and so much content creators. 3/4 of them have fallen off since starting, and I've kept going. Do you know what I mean? And that's the difference, because I know about the formula. But sometimes when you're not getting your bills paid and you're trying to rely on content work and it's not paying you, then I understand. And that's why I do personal training as well. So in case this entertainment thing falls off, I still got my client base. You get what I mean? Until the entertainment pays me enough, then I'm not going to leave that. But definitely bigger, better things. Definitely more. We just basically increase following. That's it. Increase your amount of followers. The more followers are like currency now. The more followers you have, the more popular you have, the more likely money's gonna pour in. So that's the aim.
Good luck with that, my brother.
Thank you, my friends. Thank you so much.
No doubt we'll catch up again in the future. If there's anything that's popping, just let me know. But
yeah,
is there anything else you want to share with us before we part ways?
No, I just want to big you up, man. I want to big you up for giving me the opportunity to, voice who I am and what I do, what I've done. Do you know what I mean? And I thank that as well for giving me some promotion. So yeah, bless up.